Firecall, the fire safety show with Division Chief Jim Sedaris.
We're at Fire Station 6 and we're doing Firecall, but hey, crew can't stay because they're going on a call. They're going on an EMS call right now and they're going to be heading out. Doesn't take them long to get out of the station either. As soon as they get the call, our goal is to be up, ready, rolling under 1 minute. And you can see the crews are well under that right now, so you can watch them go. Hey, it's never the same thing around a firehouse. Come to shoot fire call, crews have to go on a call. My name is Division Chief Jim Sedaris, and you are watching Firecall. Now, normally, we got a crew here, but hey, they got to work all the time, so they're ready to go. But we'll start off anyway. Got some shout-outs, and then I'm going to tell you what's on the show. First shout-out goes to Michael. Michael lives in Des Moines, Iowa, and he wants a shout-out to the Sailor Township Volunteer Fire Department in Des Moines, Iowa, not too far away. This one's to Thomas. Thomas lives in Hampton, Sydney, Virginia, and he wants a shout out to the Hampton, Sydney Volunteer Fire Department in Virginia. And this one, travel a long way, it's all kind of beat up. This shout out goes to Nathan. Nathan wants a shout out to the Belmont Fire Brigade in Victoria, Australia. Now, if we use your shout-out, if we use your questions, of course, got to send you a sassy Sioux Falls Fire Rescue t-shirt, only the viewers. Now, this month, we got some cool stuff going on. You're going to go up in there with us. We're going to be doing some stuff with the USAR teams. That's one of our questions. We're going to put people on top of a 100-foot clock tower. We're going to watch those guys rappel out, learn some of the tidbits of USAR training. That's urban search and rescue. We're going to go to a fire. We had a 2-alarm apartment fire. We're going to talk to the crews, and we're going to meet one of our newest firefighters that did his first rescue at his first fire. And then we're going to come back and talk about ladder trucks and quints and what's going on with that. So grab some popcorn, shut off all the electronic stuff, sit back and spend some time with Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. We're at a 2-alarm apartment fire, and these fires in these apartments can spread really fast. 2 big concerns in apartment fires. Get the people out. Keep the fire from spreading, because it will spread through these places pretty darn quick. I'm lucky to have Captain Bob Vosberg. Bob, you've been around the block more than a few times. Tell us, what did you do when you pulled up? What was your responsibilities?
As soon as we arrived on scene, we met with command. He assigned us to assist with Division 2. And
now before you go, people are going to say, what's Division 2? We have a three-story apartment. What's Division 2?
Correct. Division 2 is the second floor of that 3-floor apartment. We had a crew on scene on the second floor already. That's where the fire was located. We were assigned Division 2 to assist them. And we entered the structure. There's only 3 apartments on the division, and we took the doors on the second 2 apartments. Our primary concern...
Take the doors? What'd you do?
We bring our own keys sometimes. When the doors are locked and we have a life safety issue, we'll go ahead and break in the doors so we can make... Our primary concern is to make sure everybody's out of that building.
So what's your key, Bob?
We use a Halligan tool. That's pretty much a universal key on our truck. So it's a master key. But we did a primary search on them 2 apartments that were unoccupied. All was clear. We went and assisted on the fire apartment and did a primary search in the rest of that and let the Division 2 officer who was in charge of the division know that we had an all clear on the primary search. Then we proceeded to do a secondary search on Division 2, which is, again, a more detailed search just to ensure that everybody is out of the building. And
So your primary is a quick through the building?
Get through the building, and make sure you don't have anything that's any bodies laying any place or anybody trapped inside the apartments.
And we did have 1 person injured in this fire, so you're doing your job all the time. What advice would you give to people if they do have an apartment fire? If you smell smoke in your apartment and you're in a complex, what advice would you give?
First thing to do is absolutely call 911. Get help coming. If you can get all of your occupants out of your apartment, but make sure you leave your doors closed and unlocked as you exit that structure. The biggest thing for us is the slow down when we come to the locked doors. We have to get into them apartments and make sure everybody's out.
Sure, and shutting the door keeps that smoke from causing damage to your place.
It keeps the smoke in, it keeps the fire in. Most of them doors are rated 1 to 2 hour fire doors, so it'll keep that fire in for quite a while until we can get there to hopefully extinguish the fire before it's spread up through the walls.
Well, you do a great job. I'm going to let you get back to your crew. Thanks a lot, Bob.
Thanks.
anytime we have a fire, especially a fire in a complex, we got a lot of smoke involved. We need to get rid of that smoke. Smoke carries out the heat, makes it safe for everybody inside, and I got no one better to talk to me about this than Captain Jim Heyer. Jim's done it all, seen it all, and even bought the t-shirt. And your pass is working. We talked about passes before. Jim, we talked about ventilation. Why is ventilation so important to fire, especially in a fire in an apartment complex?
Well, primarily you need to get visibility and heat out of the apartment. A, you may have occupants still in there. Let's get them some breathable air. And B, firefighters performing suppression or rescue need to be able to see as well. This particular fire, when we got up in there, we had zero visibility.
You were the first ones in the apartment, right? Zero visibility. You don't know if there's anybody in there.
We had initial attack, zero visibility, and we're getting nowhere fast. Called out knowing ventilation would be getting established, and verified that the window on the alpha side had already been breached. Ventilation advised that it was mostly breached. I asked them to take the rest and set up positive pressure ventilation.
Okay, well, positive pressure ventilation. You said it. What is it?
The big gas-powered fans. Our gas-powereds move a lot more air than our electric. Set up a fan that will hopefully have an airflow that encompasses the entire front door. Force some air, force fresh air in so we can force the bad air out.
And then we're pressurizing that whole building and then moving all that air out a smaller opening.
Yep. And fortunately, at the top of this landing, there's only one door open, which means all the air they're forcing in is coming to us, and the open window is at the far end of the apartment. Therefore, it clears the whole works out on the way there, and within seconds, we were able to stand up and walk right to the fire.
And we also find out that it doesn't really cause the fire to spread. We're getting rid of all that heat, all that smoke, and you actually attack that fire a lot quicker doing positive pressure ventilation.
Correct. At this point, the fire had burned itself down to smaller than your average campfire, but
just lots of smoke.
Lots of smoke to where we couldn't see in there, and for as small as the fire was, still lots of heat, but the ventilation cleared all that up instantly, and we were able to finish our job.
Now, you're up there, you still got smoke. What's another way firefighters can move smoke out if they're not hauling the fan up with them?
Well, we finished this ventilation job with what we call hydraulic ventilation. Same principle as positive pressure, only now we're using our water line on a fog pattern to encompass an entire window.
So you're opening up your fog, you're blowing out water right out that window. What happens when all that water's coming out that window?
It's going to grab the smoke and products of combustion like a Venturi effect and suck them right out the window with it, and we kind of cleaned up with that method. You have to be careful. You are going to add water damage, but if it finishes the job, that's great.
Great. Well, I'll let you get back to your crew. They look like they're going to go back in. Thanks a lot, Jim.
Thanks.
We got a lot of questions from all over about search patterns, especially when you get in these fires and they're hot and they're smoky. How do you search them? I got no one better than Mike Clausen. And Mike, you've been fighting fires like this. Tell us about searches. When you get to a place like this, how do you decide what kind of search you're going to do? What are some considerations that you have as a whip, as a senior firefighter, in getting this stuff done?
Well, what we did was we saw when we pulled down the street that the fire was coming out of the second-story window.
You saw fire coming out?
Yes, smoke and fire. And then Captain Heyer said we're going to the second floor. We were Division 2. We advanced our hand line, and we got up to the floor, and we determined if we were going to do a right or a left-hand search. We chose a right-hand search, went in and did our...
Why is that? What's running through your mind processing? You got fire in the walls, you got fire coming out. Why are you thinking, what should I do? What considerations are you going to have? Someone's going to email me if you don't tell me.
Two things. First of all, safety. We always have to maintain contact with a wall and our team. We can't just barge into a room and run around circles. That's how firefighters die, they get lost. Second, we had a report of a victim inside. The way it turned out, we had a victim that was hanging out the second-story window on the back side. Another crew went around, laddered the window, and rescued him. So there was, safety and victims that were inside.
So you're going to get in there, you're going to figure out, I'm going to do a right-hand search. Now, when you do your search, you're on all fours crawling around. How do you do your search when you think about all this stuff that's in an apartment or in a house? What do you have to be thinking about when you come across beds and you're coming across couches and all that kind of stuff?
With beds, what we do is we usually run our hand across the top of the bed for any victims. Generally, people can crawl or kids crawl under the beds. We'll sweep underneath the bed. Couches, we'll sweep, check behind, on top.
So you pretty much have to really make sure there's no one up there, and anywhere someone could be hiding, like a little kid, because they might be scared.
Absolutely.
You got to check it out.
Closets, bathrooms, tubs. We usually flip the cushions up on the couches, mattresses.
And you're doing all that split second because you don't have a lot of time to waste. And you're thinking about the fire up there.
Correct.
And what other concerns are you going to have when you get up there? Now, you've done your search. That's a primary search. What's the difference? We talked about this before. We've done primary, secondary. What other concerns are you going to have when you're in a smoky apartment like that?
Well, we didn't really know where the origin of the fire was because we had no visibility. You finish your primary search, and then the captain will radio back our primary is complete, and then we have to conduct a secondary. Or at that time, the captain will determine if it's safe to ventilate at that time.
Great. Well, I'll let you get back to work. Thanks a lot, Mike. You're doing a heck of a good job.
Thanks, Chief.
Take care. When we get our firefighters, they go through recruit school. And when they get out of recruit school, just like we saw last month, they better be ready for anything. I got Dave Wallace. Dave Wallace is so new. He just got his brand new bunker gear issued, doesn't even have a shield on, and you did your first rescue out of a second-story window. When you got here, first fire, what were you thinking?
Well, I just wanted to make sure I did everything that we were supposed to do, everything we were trained out at the training center. The other firefighter grabbed the hydrant, and it was on my side of the truck, the fire side was, so I pulled the line, brought it up there, and my captain told me that someone said there was a person on the back side of the building, so he told me to grab a ladder. We took a ladder around and assisted the gentleman out.
And so you laddered the building, the back half of the building.
Yep.
Was it like you were trained to do, or was it a little different when you had the adrenaline pumping through your veins?
Well, it was a lot like we were trained to do. Grab the right ladder, go to the right area, and then after that, it was a totally different situation from what we did in training.
What happened next?
I climbed the ladder, and he was an elderly gentleman, so he had a hard time getting over it's about 4 foot high window area there, and helped him out there, and he just kind of climbed himself down, and as I helped him down the ladder.
And if you wouldn't have been fast, timely, who knows? It could have been a wholly different set of circumstances. So your quick thinking really made a difference here. So any regrets about getting on the fire department?
No, I love it. It's the greatest job ever.
Now, there's one secret no one knows, and only you know, and you can tell our viewers. What happens now that you were on Firecall?
I get to buy malts for the entire crew.
There you go. Hey, and don't forget your favorite chief officer, too.
That's right.
Thanks, Dave. Take care.
Sir.
Now, that fire was a 3-story apartment fire. People are going to wonder what happens if we get to a 10-story apartment. What happens if we have a window washer hanging off someplace? What happens if we go up to a tower? We have 1,000-foot towers around town. Well, that's going to lead us into these next 2 questions. And this first question is from Craig. Craig's from Belheim, Ontario, Canada. And he wants to know, does Sioux Falls Fire Rescue have a high-angle rescue team? And that's what Avery from Parker, Colorado wants to know. Does Sioux Falls do technical rescue? Well, they do, and that's an important fact on how do we get people rescued when they're in really tough positions. So what we're going to do is we're going to go with that rescue crew, one of our rescue crews, and we're going to see how they do high-angle training, hanging on a rope from a couple hundred feet up in the air. We're at the top of the clock tower, 130 feet up in the air, with the specialized rescue team for Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. And specifically, we're talking to my old friend, and you're not shaking, Jeff Martins. Jeff, tell us kind of what we're doing. What's the plan today? What kind of training are you doing today?
We're practicing some high-angle rescue.
Okay.
We've got a line set up, and we're rappelling here to start with. We're getting ready to ring up another line, and we're probably going to try and pick a rescuer off of a line, simulate that he gets stuck going down. And
so it'd be like kind of like a window washer stuck someplace, or someone on a tower?
yes.
Now, when you do this kind of training, what are some of the things that you have to take special consideration with, as far as, I know you have some padding going on there. What are those kind of things that you're going to be thinking about?
Well, we got the edge protection there to protect the rope. We don't want to damage the rope, obviously, because that's our lifeline. And another big thing with us is our anchors. We want to have a good secure anchor, bomb-proof anchor, and then we've got a backup. This is our secondary anchor.
Okay.
And then want to have a good, solid brace so we can support and pick up people.
When you rappel, it's not just like the old days when you just use a carabiner. You use specialized equipment for rappelling. Tell us about what you're using this rack.
This is a bar rack that we'd use. We load the rope through, and it's got the rack itself, or the aluminum parts here on a stainless steel rigging. And the rope is interwound between the number of racks. And the more racks you have in, the more resistance you have on the rope and the bigger load you can carry.
Show us how you'd rig up a rope through this. Now this also allows you to increase and decrease your friction depending on what.
Right. Once I got rigged up on the rope, I could drop a few bars by myself, lower myself down to someone, and if I was picking another one off, now I've got twice the load on the rack.
So you need more friction.
Right, more friction. I would load the rope would be wound between more of the bars.
Okay. Show us how you'd rack this up.
Okay. And you always load the rack full to start with when you're going over the edge, and you get your position, and then you unload the desired.
And then there's always things here that we have to worry about. Cold weather, snow, rain is all going to make changes to you. If it gets really windy like it is today, you're going to be blowing around a little bit. But if it's rainy, that's going to lubricate that rope and it'll slide through that faster. So it's better to rack up with all your bars before you do anything.
Right. We'll get rigged up like this. This would be secured.
Okay.
I would actually be on the blue line, but get over the edge, and then once I'm secured and ready to rappel, then I'm going to undo it like this. And I could rappel as these bars spread out, or I could just drop a bar, being by myself on the rope, and have a lot less weight.
Perfect. Now we notice you don't have your typical fire helmet on. You have a different helmet, different harness. We're not seeing the turnout gear. What's with the get-up? Something different?
Well, the turnout gear would be too big and bulky for this operation. We want something a little more movement. We wear gloves for hand protection, gripping the rope.
And they're not firefighter gloves.
No. These are gloves that we wear for this purpose, for gripping the rope, and more flexible, so we can tie knots and work. The helmets are also a lighter helmet. This is for protection if I were to swing into the wall, or anytime we're rigging, something could be dropped. It's just head protection for something fall on you. The harness that I have on is a Class 3 harness. That's what we use for rappelling down here.
So, and you have a full body harness so that if anything happens to you, if you flip upside down, you're not going to slide out and have to worry about taking a bad fall. And
correct. Yes.
Okay.
The safety on this one is up at the top also, which helps them right me if they had to, if something were to go wrong.
Okay.
This is our primary line, and Scott will be tending me with a safety that's hooked into my back.
And then everything's backed up here, so we have not just one system you're going to be on, we have a whole separate safety system. So if one of these pillars were to go, you're still backed up on something else. Is that right?
That is correct. If the rope were to fail or the anchor,
okay,
I have a totally separate safety line manned by another firefighter up there.
So what Jeff's doing is before he rappels, he wants to pick what's called a plumb point. That's the point when he puts all his weight on this rope that he's going to be slightly over that ledge. And that's critical so that he doesn't have his rack or his rappel device stuck either on top of the ledge or at that angle of the ledge. So this will be perfect. He'll be hanging down. As soon as he puts all his weight on the line, he's going to know exactly where he's going to be on this rope. And that's going to be really critical when he does these rappels so that there's not going to be a problem and he's not going to get hung up. When we look at these, especially when we're thinking of high-stress environments, we have to do these. We could be doing these anytime, at night, in the rain. You want to do the same thing. The same way you can do it as a rescue is how you want to train. One of the most important jobs in this operation is going to be the belay people. Belay people are the ones that are running the safety lines. In case anything happens, this is going to be the guy that's going to take care of you and get you down safely. I'm with Scott Anderson. Scott Anderson is going to be the top belay man. Now, Scotty, when you think about this, what you're doing, what are some of the big concerns you have to worry about as doing this top belay?
The big concerns I'm worried about are the guy rappelling down the wall, making sure there's not too much slack in his safety line, because if there is, he can shock the load.
Okay.
And then I'm also looking for abrasions up here, anything the rope could be rubbing on, because abrasions are the leading cause of rope failure when doing activities like this, rappelling. And then before he went over the wall, I did a safety check on him, on his bar rack, make sure his carabiners are locked, and then on the back side, I did a safety check for the safety line itself.
There'll be a safety lines in the back, his rappel lines in the front?
His safety line's in the back and the rappel's in the front. And right now, I could stop him if I wanted to with my safety line. And then if his line did happen to fail, I'd be able to lower him down with the safety line using the mounter on the carabiner that we have down there.
We talked to the top belay. Now we're going to talk to the bottom belay person, and that's going to be firefighter Harvey Ennels. Now, Harvey, you're the bottom belay person. What are some of the things you have to be concerned about when you're belaying him once he gets online?
Safety. Safety is always first concern for all of our firefighters.
Now, your role at the bottom, what can you actually do as far as a belay person?
if he does get hung up, I can pull this line tight, and that should stop him for where he's at. And
So he won't slide all the way down the rope.
All the way to the bottom, and then the top guy will pull him so he'll stop exactly where he's at.
Okay.
So that's where you can set up another line if possible, or if need be, we can do another rescue. That's why we're here.
Now, any other special concerns you have? Now, I noticed you're going. We missed you rappelling up there, but are you gonna be going again so we can get you on camera? I guess you're too busy right now, aren't you? Okay, thanks, Hart. I'm with Captain Todd Lowe, and Todd Lowe is the captain of this USAR team, this Urban Search and Rescue team. And Todd, I got some questions for you. Now, you're in charge of this group. Now, what are some of the concerns you have as a leader of a group that has to do very specialized things? They're sometimes put in uncomfortable positions. You know, you're hanging 100 feet in the air. What concerns do you have, and how do you keep your people trained to this high level?
Primarily what we're looking at is proficiency in frequent training, and we try to provide them with as many training opportunities as possible. It helps us to prepare for when an event does occur that we're used to rappelling from different areas and different props that we've used.
Now, when you think about this particular task, when would something like this be useful? When would they have to use this particular skill of rappelling down?
Anytime you drive by a downtown building and see somebody out washing windows, there's a potential for that to occur. Anytime you see somebody painting from a water tower or doing any work on any high-rise building, there's a potential for the services of our rope rescue team.
Now, can they also go below ground into a well, or would that be a different group that would have to do something, use that skill?
We have a different station which is certified for confined space. Okay. Confined space rescue is a different level of certification. It utilizes a lot of the same rope concepts for below grade as above grade. It's just that with confined spaces we have environmental hazards and physical hazards that we need to be concerned with. So it's it is a different level of training that we have to complete.
Now, with the groups that are trained today in doing this, are there special things that they have to really be trained more often on, like knots or equipment or rappelling? Or is it pretty much you just try and keep them moving through the cycle all the time?
Well, we try to encompass our training to get them comfortable with using a variety of different tasks multiple times. I believe it's important for all crew members to that by frequency and training they're more comfortable when the actual incident occurs. So we utilize all the concepts we possibly can in every training scenario. That helps enable us to feel more comfortable in times of need.
Well, great, Todd, and I'm glad we got a guy like you seeing our people and getting them trained up. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
We have a whole lot of questions about our trucks, and the biggest question we have, what's the difference between a quint and a ladder truck? And these questions all come from around the world, so we're going to go over them real quick. This one's from Jeremy, and Jeremy lives in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania. We have this one's from Tyler. Tyler lives in New Hartford, Connecticut. And we also have one from Daniel, Great Neck, New York. Also, Jonathan. Jonathan lives in Holly, New York. This one is kind of neat. This one's from Ing, and Ing lives in Singapore. And last is Corey. Corey lives in Murray, and they all want to know the same thing. What's the difference between a ladder truck and a quint? And there's no one better to answer that question than Doug Menny, famous fire apparatus operator from around the world.
Thank you.
Okay, Doug, what's the big difference between a ladder truck and a quint? And you're driving, every day you drive a quint.
Yes, sir, I do. We have, obviously, this is a quint here. The difference between a quint and a ladder truck will have various ladders.
Mm-hmm.
You could have an aerial ladder.
It goes up in the air.
Right, and ground ladders for, extension ladders,
Mm-hmm.
that type of thing. The quint here, we have an aerial ladder.
Okay, 5 things, right? Make up a quint.
Right, we've got an aerial ladder,
Yep.
ground ladders, we have a water tank, a pump, and hose.
Oh, okay.
So we can do anything an engine company does and also have the available aerial ladder if we need it.
Now, a lot of people also had a question about what would you rather have, an engine or a quint? And the quint kind of just gives you a little more resources then for that ladder truck.
Exactly, yeah. I like the Quint because, just like you said, we have everything. And if we're first in on a scene, depending on the size of the building, we got a second-story fire or something in the roof, we still got the capability to set this up in a heartbeat and be able to reach the roof.
What are some concerns you have if you're pulling up on a fire? You talked about a department fire, and you're either first in or maybe you're second in, and you have this ladder on. Do you need to think about that placement all the time, that this could turn into a ladder truck, or do you not worry about it if you're first in? As a driver, and we can, your station captain's thinking the same thing. What do you worry about placement then of your truck?
When I'm first in, I mean, it's the best situation because I can pull up in front of the building, and depending on what I've got for obstacles around, like telephone wires, electrical wires, and trees, I can sit there, and if I need the aerial ladder, I can place it so I can move that wherever I am. Coming in second or third down the line, if you have a typical engine company in front of the building where they may need this, they can't. It takes a while. If we have to, they'd have to shut down their operation so we can get in. So for the most part, the department wants to have room for an aerial apparatus to pull in so they can use it to its best ability.
How long does it take you, and how many people does it take to set this up, to put you in operation as a ladder resource?
Okay, well, we have 4 guys on the truck, and we all do
our sharp guys.
Oh, yeah, I got the best crew you could ever want.
Not much to look at, but they are sharp.
Well, some of them are pretty. Anyway, with the 4 of us, we can get this thing up in less than a minute, in time-wise, because we have plates that we have to put out for the outriggers to sit down. And it goes up in a hurry. We have guys set the wheel chocks and the plates, and one of us can do each side of the outriggers in the back and get her up in no time.
Okay. Well, Doug, I appreciate your help with all the questions, and if we have more Quint's questions, we're coming to you.
Okay.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks. You bet.
It's always fun to hang around with the guys and gals from Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. You never know what you're going to see or where you're going to be, and that's what makes it more of a challenge to have this kind of job. Got a couple of shout-outs. Now, if we don't get to your questions, we don't get to your shout-outs, give us some time. We're getting these every single day. People are watching and they're writing, so we can't get to them all the time. This first shout-out is from Jacob. He's from Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, and he wants a shout-out to the Camp Hill Fire Department, Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. This is from Mark. Mark lives in Louisa, I hope I got that right, Kentucky, and he wants a shout-out to the Fallsburg Volunteer Fire Rescue in Fallsboro, Kentucky. And our last shout-out is from Mike. Mike lives in Newark, Ohio, and he wants a shout-out to Newark, Ohio Fire Department. Now, remember, you get some good questions, get a shout-out, you get a sassy T-shirt. Only get them from here, can't find them anywhere else, including eBay. Hey, my name is Division Chief Jim Sedaris, and you've been watching Firecall.